Alright guys, so I'm going to walk you through how to use Photoshop and how to compile the photographs that were your assignment from our previous class. Notice that I'm actually using Photoshop CS6. It's technically a different version, but honestly everything works exactly the same way. Alright, so let's just do it here. So I've got my layers, everything's kind of pulled out. This is stuff we've already talked about in class. I'm going to go ahead and do File, Open. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the file that we're going to be using to compile our photographs into to kind of make our own kind of cut and paste looking color wheel out of photographs. Your assignment was to go around and take photographs of things in real life, and they could be super close-ups, they can be kind of whatever you want. But they are to be kind of nice and open and colorful, basically just to get you to think about how much color is kind of surrounding us at all times. So I just made this document, and this is the one we're going to be using, and you'll find this on our Brightspace page. And you'll notice that we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, and I appreciate 10. And with these squares up top, that's going to be our value scale. Then we've got all the colors down here. Roy G. Piv. Hey, there's a P for purple instead of violet. Indigo's not in there because, well, it's not. And then we've got monochrome, analogous color, split complementary. And then down here we've got 3 different complementary sets: yellow, purple, green, or red, green, and blue, orange. All of these 3 must be found in actual real-world logature. And that doesn't mean it literally needs to be like the McDonald's sign. If you just find like an advertisement in a window for some new fashion whatever, I just want it to be something that has been printed or publicized, just to get you kind of think about how advertising and logo design, graphic design utilizes complementary colors a whole bunch. So let's say I've got this, and just for the sake of argument, let's say that I need to, open. And so let's say I took this photograph here. I totally stole it from Google, but let's pretend. I went over to the grocery store, took myself a picture of some way cool lemons. I know they're really cool. So I can kind of select using my little square dotted line here, my square select tool. I can select them, or what's much easier is I can do Command A, and ta-da, that selects everything. Now I could go up to Edit and Copy, but you'll notice that that's also Command C. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and I'll jump back to my page. Now I can do Edit, Paste, or again, Command V, way easier. Boop, and there it is. Okay. Now, what we're looking to do is we only need a slice of this, right? So I'm going to show you kind of maybe an easier way of doing it that would be a little bit simpler than maybe you've done in the past. So I'm just going to turn off the eyeball on my photograph. It's still there, but we'll come back. Whenever I open up this file, you'll notice that it automatically has a lock on it. To get rid of that lock, I'm just going to double click and hit OK. That's the easiest way. And notice that that lock is gone now. So cool. So now what I'm going to do here, let's see. So I'm using the color yellow. So I'm going to go right into this slab right here. So I could grab my magic wand tool and I can do some cool stuff, but that's going to leave that weird little Y there. I don't need that. So I'm going to use my square select tool. I'm just going to cut it out. Literally hit delete, and you'll see that little checkerboard pattern. Remember, that checkerboard pattern is the international symbol for there ain't nothing there. So now I'm going to grab my magic wand tool. It's the one that looks like a little firecracker, or, a magic wand. I'm just going to click anywhere on this white space. It's going to grab everything and delete that as well. And now what I'm left with, I'll just deselect. Now what I'm left with is this big gaping hole where yellow used to be. Now what's cool is this. So I could go through and actually physically crop my photo to fit, right? But inevitably I'd mess up and there'd be like a millimeter of space missing and it would just get really annoying. So instead, don't think about it as cropping the photo. Instead, what we're going to do is we're actually going to drag this photo underneath. See how I'm dragging this layer down, right? So that means that this is now on top, and it becomes kind of like a window, right? So really simply, I'm going to grab my move tool. That's the little kind of plus icon, and I can move this around. But what I want to do is I want to expand this, right? I want to make it larger so it actually fits. So it actually fits my little window here. So I can go to Edit, Transform, and I could scale or do anything like that, but a much easier way, just kind of quicker on you, is hit Command and the letter T, and that stands for transform. Okay, so we're going to transform our image, and that gives us these little bounding boxes. I'm just going to grab one in the corner. I'm going to hold down Shift because otherwise it gets all skewed and wonky. We don't like that. So instead, I'm going to hit Shift, and while I'm holding Shift down, I'm going to drag it out here. Drag it out, just like that. Now it's looking like it's filling up the slab for yellow. Looks really cool. I'm going to hit Enter, and there it is. Easy. Now if I don't like this angle, if it looks kind of goofy, I can always kind of skew it around. Again, it's a little tiny window. So that, oh yeah, that's cool right there. That's what I want. Now, if I were to cut out my next window, say like for green, right, I would actually see those lemons kind of sitting behind them. That's not what I want. So the next step, just to kind of finalize my yellow, I'm going to go up to my first layer. That's the actual form that I made for you. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go down to merge down, or you could do merge visible or flatten image. They all would work. I'm going to do merge down, and you'll notice now I'm down to one layer. Those lemons no longer can be moved individually. That's just some little residue. Don't worry about that. We've got a little leftover kind of hanging off the side there. But can't be merged or can't be moved individually. They're all kind of glued and stuck together. So let's do one more real quick. I'm going to do File, Open. I'm going to grab this guy right here. Again, let's say while I was taking pictures of those lemons, I happened to grab a photograph of some avocado. So I'm going to take some of that, select, so Command A to select all, Command C, Command V. So A for select all, C for copy, and V for paste. V for paste, think about it more like an arrow pointing down. That's the way I remember. So I'm going to make sure that I'm on my right layer, turn off my eyeball, make sure I'm on that background layer. I'm going to drag it up top, grab my little square select. I'm going to cancel out that letter G. I don't need him there. Now again, I could sit here and try my best to select this square, but that would take so much time. What's much, much easier is grab that magic wand tool, click once, that's all you need, and it is gonzo. Super easy. If for some reason you ever have trouble with the magic wand tool, a really easy thing to check out is the tolerance up here. That tolerance, if you're at 100%, it's going to select everything that is that color. I'll show you with this lemon real quick. So let's set my tolerance down to like 6. Why not? That's a number. And if I click, you'll notice it's grabbing just little tiny fragments of color, like really little. However, if I take it and I move it up to 71, it's grabbing much more color. And basically that's just saying whenever I click, whatever little tiny pixel I just clicked on, it's going to grab everything that's surrounding it that's almost that same color. The bigger the number, the more it's going to allow the quote-unquote almost to actually be there. So for the sake of this project, we're using black and white. It really doesn't much matter, but just something to think about. So now I'm going to turn back on my avocados. I'm going to grab my move tool. I'm going to move it on up to the east side, being a deluxe apartment in the sky. So we're going to go ahead and kind of shrink him down. Again, I just did Command T to transform. That looks pretty cool. That's a lot of kind of deep green. I like that. Ooh, yeah, right there. Get rid of that label. I don't like that. There we go. Perfect. Bam. Hit Enter. Locks it down. Go ahead up top here to layer 1. Right click. Merge down. And bada bing, bada boom. You are done with 2. Let's do one more just for the sake of argument. Let's do something different. So, got myself the old Mickey D's logo here. I'm going to go ahead and do Select All by Command A. Command C to copy. Come back over here. Notice that all my layers are merged. Everything's good to go. Do Command V. You got my Mickey D's logo. Now, I grabbed this, hoping to put it for one of these complementary colors, but let's be honest, red and yellow are not complementary. They're just not. I could probably make a little bit of a skewed argument toward this particular photo being a maybe a triadic color scheme, but that's not one of our 3, right? With that blue in the background and yellow and red, those are our primaries. But again, that's not one of my options. However, red and yellow are totally analogous colors, right? So let's go ahead and use that. Why not? I know it doesn't say it needs to be a logo, but it works, so why not? So I'm going to grab the word analogous, cut that out. I don't need it anymore. Grab a magic wand tool, select that, cut that out. I don't need it anymore. Grab my Mickey D's layer, flip it down. Use my move tool to drag it just like a cool little window. Command T for transform. Don't forget that. We'll be using that quite a lot. And that looks cool. I like it kind of like half cropped. It's kind of neat. So there is my analogous colors, red and yellow, looking pretty cool. One last, don't forget, merge layers down, and now I've got everything's merged together. And you'll see these little tiny tidbits that are hanging out on the side. Don't stress those. Whenever you save it, it'll just save what you actually see in your window here, and so all that stuff's going to get cut off. Just don't even think about it. So looking good, and I'm just going to keep this process going, plunking in new photographs. Remember up top here, these are our values. The lower the number, the lighter the value. The higher the number, the darker the value. So this will be shade, and over here will be tint. Okay? Cool. If you have any major questions, make sure to give me a email or anything like that. I'll help you out. But just to kind of maybe help you to think about how many things are available out there, I've just got a handful of photographs I'll show you real quick. This is an old rusty mailbox that I found a number of years ago. For me, I'd probably call this maybe analogous, right? It's got some yellows and some reds. There's a hint of blue and green in here, but I would probably call this an analogous color scheme. For my harmonies here. Again, another analogous, yeah, there's some green back here, and technically I could say that that's complementary with the red, but honestly, this is definitely much more of an analogous with that yellow and then kind of burst of red. Keep going down. What do we got here? Looks like monochrome, right? Red wall, red ladder, got some cool value, but it's all the same color, and that's exactly how it is. I didn't Photoshop that or anything. Little bit of a nice little scenic vista of maybe like a swamp or something, I don't know. I've got some blues, I've got some greens. Again, we're talking more about analogous colors. Now, that same mailbox that was all rusty before took a little bit more of kind of the blue area where it used to be painted blue and has kind of chipped away. This one definitely is much more of complementary, right? I've got my blues, I've got kind of a reddish-y orange color, definitely complementary, making those two colors pop out. The reason we have red fire hydrants, right? It's surrounded by green, so those are complementary colors. It's an urgent color, but it also helps it stand out amongst the foliage. Finally, remember that your big photo that you have to turn in, so not only do you need to turn in this form, but you also have to take one photograph of a person in some way. And you want to have a color harmony in that photograph. Doesn't have to have any detail, right? A silhouette is just as good. And I'm going to open it up even more. Maybe you don't want to do people so much, but you want to take a trip over to the zoo. I'm a-okay with that too. As long as there's a living creature involved. It doesn't even need to be a person. Take a picture of, maybe you have no friends and you have pets. That's fine. Go ahead and take a picture of, you know, your cat or something, right? Here's a picture of an elephant that's obviously got a little bit of reflected light on it. It's kind of a light brown with a yellow background, almost kind of a monochrome vibe to it. Kind of cool. And then here's another monochrome with a blue jellyfish in blue water with blue light. And this is not Photoshop. This is absolutely exactly how it looked. It was pretty cool. So again, any which direction you want to, but you're going to be turning in a photograph of a color scheme of your choice, color harmony, and it has to involve something organic, let's say, right, a person or an animal, and you're going to turn in this form all kind of photoshopped and filled out. This one we're not going to critique, but this guy we totally will. Okay? Again, any major problems, questions, whatever, give me a holler. Okay, bye guys.